then it will affect every area of your life. So we're just going to, you don't need to write these down because we're going to give them to you. We're going to put them on the table back there. As you go, you can pick these up. But Judy, I'll let you start.
It's just simple little things that maybe some of you already do, but meaningful and helpful things. Give full attention to your spouse when they're talking to you. Put your phone down. Don't look at the TV screen. Eye contact and ignore that phone. Just that focusing. And we give a message when we do that. That I think what you say is important and I want to hear it and I want to give you my attention. So that's a gift you give them. You give them your attention. Avoid using words like, you never. How many of us are guilty of that? You never close the door. You never. On and on and on.
Because as soon as you say that, they're going to come up with a time that they did.
Yeah. Or you always. That's bringing up garbage from the past. And it doesn't help anybody. So those words that just doom them when you say them. It's just dooming them. Those are not helpful.
Be aware of the tone of your voice. We communicate a lot with our words, but we communicate a lot with the tone of our voice. And this is one I really have to watch because I can be intimidating with my voice. When our boys were little, occasionally, after I'd had a little talk, come to Jesus meeting with them, and they'd be in another room, Judy would ask me, do you realize what you sounded like? You were so intimidated to him. So even with each other, I have to keep that in check. Watch your tone of voice.
And I have lots of words, so he has to kind of raise his hand and say, too many words.
Can you land that plane anytime soon? You know?
And now we just laugh.
There were several places you could have stopped. You know?
Be aware of your body language. Again, giving the attention with your eyes. Just the way you hold your body. I mean, you can look bored. You know, you can look stern. You can use your imagination and fill in the blank. But our body language is a big part of what we're communicating. And many times we don't even realize it. I never did like when the boys would just go and roll their eyes. And they weren't allowed to do that. I'm not saying they never did it, but they weren't allowed to do that to us. And the same thing with spouse. It's so disrespectful, and it just tears things down when you really want to be building things up.
Learning to listen. Communication is more than just one person talking. It's another person listening as well. And so we need to learn to listen with the intent of understanding, not the intent of answering. And early on, that was one of the, I had a degree in speech and debate. And so I would find myself.
How would you like to be married to that?
I would find myself listening, but I was reloading over here. I was getting my next line ready to deliver back to her. And that's a horrible way to listen because I never end up in understanding what she's saying and what the feelings are behind it.
And when we listen to understand, we know our spouse so well. We know hardships that were in their lives before they even came into ours. And so we can be more understanding than someone else could be because we do know the struggles they've had, the struggles they may be in right there in the moment. So when we listen to understand, we're trying to determine the feelings and the reasons why they're sharing what they're sharing.
Sometimes it's helpful if you will summarize back to them what you heard. There is this incredible celestial filter that when I say something, it grabs it, twists it all around by the time it gets to her ears. Yeah. And it's like, what? That's not what I said, but that's what she heard. And so sometimes it is helpful to kind of repeat back what you think you heard them say. Because
so what I hear you saying
thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Are you saying
clarifying
that, and then you get clarification.
To make sure you heard things correctly.
That way. Yeah, because everything, as you guys know, Everything you hear, you're filtering through X amount of years of marriage. It's all there. You're filtering it through what you've heard before. It's like, well, I know what she said, but I know what she meant. Yeah, okay.
But maybe that time they're really trying, and you just shot them in the saddle
Yeah.
by going there mentally.
Shot them in the saddle.
Well, cowboys, out of the saddle.
Out of the saddle, thank you. I think what I heard you say. But anyway, all right. And then lastly, be careful about having a conversation when the emotions are running too high. Sometimes you just need to say, look, I really do want to talk about this. I want to cover this. But right now, I just need a little bit of space. But I promise we'll come back together. Sometimes, even the time of day, it's just not the right time to have a conversation, you know.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
He would go to sleep.
I would. I didn't mean to.
That didn't work too well.
Well, I finally learned to, kind of lift my head up off the pillow and say, is this a meaningful conversation that we're about to have? Because if it is, I need to set up, Yeah.
But then in the daytime, you would coach me on,
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say, but that's not a good time to talk about meaningful things.
Yeah. And she learned that, Yeah, every once in a while, they're still there. Okay, then
Did I
lastly.
hear you saying that I'm not doing
All right, then lastly, this will change your life. Okay, here's a tool to use. Okay, take an object around the house. If you're really wanting to communicate with each other, take an object around the house. It cannot be sharp and pointed. Okay? And you approach your spouse and you say, I want to talk about something. And as long as I have the object, I get to talk. And when I feel like I've been heard, then she can talk. And I can't, because I don't have the object. That keeps you, friends, from doing that talking over each other and interrupting and assuming. Because everybody wants to be heard. And so that is a great tool. You can use a ping pong ball, tennis ball. Again, nothing sharp and pointed, because that way when you're giving it to them, you can really give it to them,
Sometimes couples just shake their head. It's just so simplistic that they just don't even want to go there. But these are little building blocks that you build in for the future from now on. Those little things can help diffuse. They can help make the conversations healthier, and we think they're good ideas.
We do. Okay, look at what time it is. And